The Bible gives us a prophetic timeline that leads to the second coming of Christ, and I'm going to show it to you right here. Pay attention.
One of the things that we have to understand, brothers and sisters, is the difference between the last days and the end. And we're going to say that this is the last days here, and this is the time of the end. It's the same timeline, it's just different time frames. So the time of the end is specifically the latter part of the last days. And I like to think of the final time as the last 7 years. I'm going to show you when the last days began, because once you have an understanding of when the last days begin, then when we go back to Matthew 24, you will be able to properly put everything in its place, whether this was something that Jesus spoke concerning the last days or something regarding the end. So let's go to Hebrews 1 real quick. It says, God, who at sundry times and in diverse manners, or in many ways, spoke in time past unto the fathers by the prophet. He has in these last days spoken to us by his Son. But he says these last days that the Father has spoken to us by his Son. So here's what you got to understand about that. This book of Hebrews was written 2,000 years ago. And the writer of Hebrews is telling us and describing the day that he's writing this as the last days. Last days did not begin in 2020. Last days did not begin with COVID hit. It didn't begin in World War I. The marker of the last days is when Jesus began to preach. So Jesus began his ministry in 27 BC. And then it says he died in 30. So from the time of Jesus's ministry to the time of the end, which is, I believe, the last final 7 years, this is when the last days began. So the last days have been going on since 2,000 years. These are the final 2,000 years before Jesus returns. The Bible actually prophesies in the book of Hosea that God will regather Israel after 2 days, and in the third day he will raise us up and we will live in his presence. Jesus was in the grave 2 days and rose on the third. So Jesus is going to be gone for 2 days, or 2,000 years. We're literally coming to the close of the 2,000 years. Jesus was in the grave 2 days, and he rose early in the morning before the sun was up on the third day.
A day to the Lord is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years like a day. Jesus died in 30 AD. 1 day from here brings you here. The second day starts here. The third day begins here. And the millennial reign will last for 1,000 years.